Okay, so this evening we've got a game between Mamelodi Sundowns and Kaizer Chiefs happening at FNB Stadium in the quarterfinal of the Carling Black Label Knockout. Now, these two teams are very similar in some ways, where they have a lot of the same weaknesses and a lot of the same strengths. So I'm going to go through each team and maybe highlight some of the weaknesses and some of the things that they do well. And then at the end, we can speak about how these things are going to work together. So let's start off with the Kaizer Chiefs. Kaizer Chiefs has done very well under Coach Nabi. Coach Nabi has come in, he's given them a belief. They know how to play, they know how to attack. The only problem with Kaizer Chiefs is that defensively there's an issue. So if we start with the strengths of Kaizer Chiefs, the strengths of Kaizer Chiefs is that front four. Kaizer Chiefs is a team that now can overwhelm teams when they counterattack, and the overwhelming is now directed because they've got a Sirino. A lot of times Kaizer Chiefs were crying out for somebody who could think in the final third and make those passes. So instead of having Ranga dropping back and trying to make a pass or trap a ball or do a skill, or having Du who gets overexcited at times when he has to go make that final pass, or even having a Duba who's been preferred, who's not able to maybe keep up the intensity for a long time. What Nabi has done in the counter-attack is he's made Sirino very important, and Sirino is the guy that now makes the final decision. So the ball is played up to him, and he's the guy who just lets the others make runs, and he makes the last pass, which allows Ranga to be more physical with defenders, which allows him to make fake runs that may open up for Sirino to take a shot. And it also helps Abu Duba as well get into dangerous positions, right? So Kaizer Chiefs as a counter-attacking team with a four is very, very dangerous. Now, the problem with the four, and where Mamelodi Sundowns could possibly take advantage, is in two spaces. Number one, central defensive mid. We don't have sixes that can sit and really read the game. So a lot of the time when Chiefs is caught out up top, because they've committed the four players and maybe a fifth trailing, if they lose the ball, it's very hard for them to come back quickly and batcher. So I think when we come to the six, that's where, if Coach Mangoba chooses, that's where Ribeiro is going to be very important, because Ribeiro kind of sits in that pocket in front of the defense and dictates. And because we are usually chasing that player instead of that player meeting someone there, because we don't have disciplined sixes, it's going to give a lot of freedom. But the big opportunity for Sundowns on top of that one, when it comes to Chiefs' defense. Chiefs' defense is ill-disciplined, but also they're overworked. So, as I said, because we've pushed up four people, right? That means four guys are out of the attack. And because Sirino usually starts on the left, last time we played versus Sundowns, he was on the right, but usually he starts as sort of a winger, similar to what Uzwani used to do last season, where we know you're not going to play it up the left-hand side. Uzwani is there positionally to come inside. But anyway, because Usirino is up top, there is a defensive liability when it comes to Ukros, because Ukros has to look out for whichever midfielder is going to go into that spot, because Sirino doesn't drop to cover that, but also he's going to have to look out for the winger. And what tends to happen with the Kaizer Chiefs is that Cross, or even on the other side sometimes with Frosla, Cross has to go and meet the danger, because he can't afford to be overloaded at the bottom of the pitch. So he runs out to go meet usually the midfielder out wide, and that leaves a gap behind him where usually somebody goes running into there. So usually someone runs into that gap, that pulls Dotley out of position, and all of that chaos can result in goals. So for example, when Dotley goes out there, because our CDMs are too high and they have to come back, they're chasing the game, and now there's all of these gaps. Your centre back has to decide whether to go out or to stay. If they stay, there's danger that's going to be out wide, but if they go, now your partner has to communicate with you, and I think that is something that Chiefs has to watch out for. Over and above that fact, I think it Chiefs, the two centre backs, Dotley and Miguel, they want to play the game. They want to play in the game. And what tends to happen is that oftentimes you find them out really wide on the line, which means that already in a defense that is missing a Frostler at times, or Frostler has gone out to go get the danger, especially on transition. Now you've got another centre back out wide, you've got another one trying to cover while looking at however many men are coming into the box. And I think we need to get some defensive discipline there, where, talk to each other, stay in. And this is a problem that has been around with Kaizer Chiefs for a very long time. Mamelodi Sundowns are very good players, but the moment you start moving them out of their positions, that's where you start getting a lot of that kotsi. That's where where they get taken advantage of. And I think that if Sundowns stick to what they've done with the Rainers up wide and Matthews out wide, they can take advantage of those gaps that happen on the wider spaces. And if they transition properly, you'll see a lot of goals similar to what we saw versus Sundowns, where Miguel is trying to come in and Totally is trying to come in, and then it frees up a space where this guy is trying to chase the ball and this guy is trying to chase, and because of everything that's happening, there's a space inside. Now, they're not going to score headers similar to what Makesi scored, right? But if they can play their cards right, they've got some spaces in between the defenders and out wide, that if they can catch us up high, that's where Rainers and Matthews are going to be the most dangerous. So with Chiefs, 4 up with a 6-man back or 5-man back, and no communication between the central defensive midfielders and the defense itself is often an issue. On top of that, it seems like Untwari is a little bit shy, man. He's a little bit shy, he's a little bit overwhelmed, and it sometimes seems like he's in his own head, which makes him make a lot of rookie mistakes when he's playing. Now, if we move on to Mamelodi Sundowns, sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, Supersport needs to come fetch me, and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abo Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Mamelodi Sundowns, like I said, similar, but they approach it differently. Where Chiefs has a front 4, where they have a central player to attack the defense, Sundowns at times this season has played with a front 3, where Ribeiro drops into the 10 and Reyners and Matthews attack from the sides. I say they play sort of 2 Saleng type wingers, which is very dangerous on attack, which is very dangerous on counter-attack. And this is why I say that where Chiefs' mistakes come on counters, Mamelodi Sundowns' chances come on counter-attacks. So if you play a team that sits back and will play 2 backs of 4 and just relax. We saw what happened versus Polokwane City. They didn't commit too many people forward. They stayed in position. They starved them of the spaces wide. They starved them of the spaces wide. They closed down the middle. They stayed very compact. Sundowns couldn't even get a shot on target up until I think it was the 82nd minute or something like that. They couldn't even get a shot, an attempt up to that point. So that tells you a little bit about how Sundowns needs the space and needs the counter-attacking in order to catch them, to be caught out. And I think Chiefs gives them that opportunity should they play the way that they've been playing up to this point. What's interesting about Mamelodi Sundowns is that they no longer have that strong defensive cover that they used to have. Sundowns would overload the midfield and have mokwena pull jerseys and do those things to stop counterattacks before they can get to these players. But because that midfield no longer has that many guys dropping in, and Abo Island, Abo Mokwena, Abo Kutzia, Abos Banban, all bunched up there, because Sundowns tries to play very quickly, it means that even with Sundowns, if you can catch them out, that means that most of the time you'll be facing a back two or a back three when you attack. And even if they're in the three, a lot of the times, Kimang Lebusa, Kutzia has been playing more. Lebusa Kutzia and Kana, who's the third one? Vala, or the three at the back with Ukutzia tend to be slow or tend to lack physicality. And what Uchivavairo showed Ulibusa in the first game and some of those defenders was that if you can bully them a little bit and you can catch them in transition, and maybe you have Ranga keep them busy while allowing Du to pace up, or Duba to pace up past them, you can probably get something from this game from that defense, right? I think if you're clinical enough versus Sundowns in your attack, you can do something. Similar to Polokwane City, what they've done, similar to the goals that Mamelodi Sundowns has been conceding up to this point. Another really interesting part about Chiefs and Sundowns. Sundowns, around the 60th minute, it's been happening for quite a few games now. Around the 60th minute, they start becoming loose with the way that they play. That's usually when Ukosh Mangoba and his team start making their substitutions. And the one thing that Sundowns has maybe lost in that last 30 minutes is a control factor. So Sundowns brings on players in order to up the pace. So they want to up the pace and try overwhelm you in order to try get a goal or a second wind from that game. But then in them doing that, they open up quite a bit, which becomes so interesting again, because a lot of Chiefs' most dangerous players, by 65th minute, they're not quite there anymore. You think about a Bradley Cross who hasn't been able to finish a game. You think about Njabulo Blom, who might be key in this game but hasn't been able to really give a convincing full 90 minutes. You have so many places here where now, can they take advantage of Sundowns in that time when Sundowns is a little bit weak? And this is probably where Abomfundo Vilakazi will come on and bring an extra something to the game, bring an extra intensity to the game, and maybe that could hurt Mamelodi Sundowns in that sense. When it comes to Kaizer Chiefs, they also, I'd say, when they do go down in the past games or so, when they do go down in the last 30 minutes, they are high tempo as well. So I foresee a game that becomes a ping pong match towards the end, and it will all be who's going to be able to finish better than the other one. The other interesting thing about this game is, like I've noted now, both teams struggle versus teams that sit back and try and make space. But because both of the teams don't sit back, I don't think we're going to see that many changes. So if you look at it from a Sundowns perspective, I'd want to keep Kutzia very close, so close to the defense. Maybe if Mokwena plays or Obas plays, maybe have a solid 4 at all times, because they also commit Abomudau. To also have a solid 4 at the back at all times, a solid 4, or at least a 3 with somebody who's very close in order to stop the counters. And then with Kaizer Chiefs, I'd also say put in a single pivot for this game and have somebody whose sole discipline is to stay in front of the defense and drop into the defense when we're being counter-attacked, in order to allow these guys, when they have freedom, the 2 center backs, to go out, that you're keeping a shape, right? So it's so interesting. The key players are the key players. We know that Mamelodi Sundowns' key player has to be Williams. Williams holds the key to Mamelodi Sundowns because he affords them time to be patient in the build-up. Him and Kutsia, Williams and Kutsia allow Sundowns to be able to be confident enough to hold the ball at the back and try suck the other team in, then pounce, right? So those two are very, very, very important. When you look at Kaizer Chiefs, I think Sirino is going to be super important, and hopefully, unlike the last game, he doesn't get into his feelings too much. He got into his feelings last game, and he wanted to kick, and he wanted to play deeper, and he wanted to do all of these things instead of just allowing himself to be an attacking player and getting the ball and hurting Sundowns. He was dropping back, he was making tackles, he was angry, he was pushing. I hope that that was the first time that we saw Sirino obviously playing versus his ex, playing versus his ex-team, and hopefully he's over that. But Sirino is a very important player, and Shabalala is a very important player, because I foresee in counter-attacking situations where those decoy runs that Shabalala makes, you have to keep attention on. You have to. You can't leave him to run because Sirino will find him. But also, you have to watch out for Sirino. That's going to be super important. So if I was to look at two players from both teams that are very important, Du and Sirino on the Chiefs' side, and then on the other side you have Williams Nokutsia. Ribeiro is also a shout as to somebody that can be instrumental there. But essentially, if you can keep Ribeiro quiet, even if it means committing somebody to man-marking him, not advisable, but committing somebody to man-mark him, and if you can keep Sirino quiet, both teams, I don't see them being able to be as dangerous. This is why my prediction has been 2-1. I think it's going to be a very even game, and you know, it's going to come down to a finish. It's going to come down to a strike. It's going to come down to something that, you know, we are not expecting. Let me put it like that. It's not going to be from the beautiful play that they have. So let's see how this game is going to play out. And who's going to get into the Carling knockout rounds. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you guys during the match. So if you want to watch me live and speak to me during the game while we're watching it, join me while I'm live here and also on TikTok. And then, speak to me after the game. We're going to analyze the games during the week and all of that stuff. It's been incredible, guys. Thank you so much for your support. I'll see you guys on the next one.